Now, I don't know if you guys heard about this, but I feel like this can actually be a productive conversation. Now, Mike Rowe, who is an American philanthropist and a TV host, came out and stated that 7 million men who are in their prime are not working right now, okay? This is another man saying that other men who are in their prime years are between 25 and 54, are not working in the United States, okay? And here are some of the statistics that back up what he's saying. So the Bureau of Labor Statistics actually reports that men between the ages of 25 and 54, about 57% of them are not working, citing physical, mental, and behavioral health issues, right? But there are 30% of men who admitted they're choosing not to work. There's nothing wrong with them. They're just choosing not to work, okay?
So here we are, guys. 40 million men have now dropped out of the workforce and have said they are done working and they are not putting up with it anymore. Women, on the other hand, are beginning to panic, freak out, and demand that men return to society, calling it a hindrance and a direct impact on the livelihood and survival of women because men are walking away and opting out. Why are so many women now so furious and trying to get men to return to the workforce and saying that this is actually something that men are doing to spite women and it needs to be stopped immediately? Watch to the end of the video to have those questions answered. Today's video comes from a life after layoff. His channel will be in the description of the video, so you can go and check out his additional content. Don't forget to follow Sovar on Rumble. Our Rumble is linked in the description of the video. And also, guys, if you want to learn how to buy, sell, trade, and make massive profit from crypto, don't let them convince you that you will own nothing and be happy. Go learn how to buy, sell, and trade crypto by visiting Angry's Crypto Academy, which is linked in the description of the video. And now let's go ahead and jump right into the video.
Men not being at work on a weekday, I don't like it.
Oh, so men shouldn't take time off?
No.
Oh my.
Why are you not at work? Why is it a Wednesday afternoon and you're not working?
I mean, it's almost like it's nobody's business why a man would decide to take the day off work. I mean, heaven forbid he be taking care of some personal or family business, or even just taking time for himself. But apparently, that's asking too much.
Not at the office. Not on a construction site.
I wonder if they could stereotype men a little bit more. I bet that would help.
Do you work from home? Because even that's pushing it.
And who can guess what they're about to say next?
Working from home is for the girlies. The girlies and the gays. Not for the guys.
Oh, this is fun. So now the appropriateness of a person's job is dependent on their gender as well as their orientation. Okay.
Why are you traipsing around a random city on a Tuesday? Go to work. Go to work.
You know, ironically, in the spirit of equality, I think someone should probably be taking their own advice.
Since men aren't guaranteed a stay-at-home wife, a chef, a nanny, a nurse, a doctor, they're opting out of the workforce. They're opting out of doing anything for women because they aren't guaranteed anything. They don't see the value in women having their own money and having their own security. They want to take us back to a time when women couldn't work. That's the only way they feel that women deserve anything. Well, since you're a doctor, since you're a nurse, since you're a lawyer, since you have a good paying job, since you can make any amount of money, why should I help you? That is insane to me. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. And the crazy thing is the men are just like, yeah, well, what are you going to do?
He was once happy. There was a time in his life where everything made sense. There was a time in his life where he could smile and laugh and he could joke and have fun and be the person that he is. There was a time in his life where he was always out socializing, being with friends and family and speaking to people. And now it's all gone. He is tired all the time. He sleeps all the time, and when he's not sleeping, he's listening to music or he's trying to watch a movie just to fill all the negativity that's in his head and consuming him all the time. He wanted to socialize once, but he doesn't want to anymore. He feels safer and better at home, not having to deal with anyone else or explaining how he feels or thinks or putting on a fucking fake smile all the time to make everyone else around him feel comfortable, yet he's the one feeling the most uncomfortable. He used to be someone that everyone could count on, but now he has no one to count on.
Men have been consistently dropping out of the workforce, and this is especially the case for men ages 25 to 54 who are considered to be in their prime working years. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the unemployment rate for prime age working men was 3.4% in August 2024. Now, this number primarily includes those who are unemployed and looking for a job, but about 10.5% of men in their prime working years, or roughly 6.8 million men nationwide, are neither working nor looking for employment, compared with just 2.5% in 1954. This number, in comparison to 1954, is quite the jump. Now, a study was done by the Pew Research Center. For those who are unaware, the Pew Research Center is a nonpartisan American think tank based in Washington, D.C., which provides information on social issues, public opinion, and demographic trends that are shaping the United States and the world. Now, Pew found that men who are not college educated leave the workforce at higher rates than men who are. At the same time, fewer younger men have been enrolling in college over the past decade. Another interesting note is that an increase in opioid prescription between 1999 to 2015 led to about 43% of the decline in men's labor force participation rate. While women bear the brunt of caregiving responsibilities, another interesting note is that just over 30% of non-working prime-age men also cited caring for others, including a seriously ill, special needs, disabled, or an aged family member, as a reason for not working. This figure did not differ significantly between men who were looking for work and those who weren't. You see, men are leaving the workforce more and more as time goes on. This trend seems likely to pick up and pick up quickly. Pow.
I've noticed a weird phenomenon. Working age men, perfectly capable, are leaving the traditional workforce in droves. Now, it's really happening, and it's not just a few men here and there. I'm talking millions of working age men who are opting out of the 9-to-5 world. And it's creating a quiet crisis that not enough people are talking about. And so today, we're going to be doing exactly that, diving into what's going on, why it matters, and why this trend could potentially hurt everyone. So, why are men leaving the workforce? And why is that a problem? Let's start with the numbers. Right now, over 7 million prime working age men in the United States aren't working, and they aren't even looking for work. That's nearly 1 out of every 9 men between the ages of 25 and 54. And before anybody jumps to conclusions, no, they're not all just lazy. It's a little bit more complicated than that. So let's break this down. We've outsourced, automated, and restructured entire industries over the past 30 years. And as you know, the employment pendulum swinging back and forth is a bit like whiplash, especially over the last few years. Of course, today, the job market is decidedly in favor of the employer and not the employee. And jobs that used to provide a solid middle-class income for men without necessarily requiring college degrees, thinking manufacturing, construction, even some management positions in logistics, have either dried up or they have turned into a low-paying grind fest with no benefits and no clear path of promotion. And it absolutely takes a toll.
Hey, good. How you doing? Before we get into anything, I do have an update for you I wanted to share. I'm going to be putting my resignation in.
Yeah.
So I'm actually starting a business with my wife.
Oh, wow. What are you going to do?
Yeah. We are going to be selling vintage handbags. Thanks. All right. See ya.
Yes.
Bro is like, I did it. I finally quit that fucking job. I'm free. School's out for summer. School's out forever. Y'all remember that? That's pretty much what we have happening here. We pretty much have a reality where everyone's like, yeah, it's over now, man. I'm done and I'm not going back. Especially when you get to your 40s, you're kind of like, I'm exhausted. I often watch like Vera Dark. She works pretty often. She puts out like a lot of content talking about what's happening in the gaming industry. And then she's also streaming like 4 days a week. And she does like 3-hour streams, I think, 2 to 3 hour streams or longer. And she's extremely consistent. She does it on Saturdays and Sundays, I think. And then during the week, Tuesdays and Thursdays also, I believe. And that's on top of also appearing on various podcasts, other YouTube streams, in addition to her daily videos. So, and she often drops like multiple daily videos. Now, the reason why I bring her up is because most men, are tired. A lot of, she's a Gen Zer. and she's in her 20s. When you get to be a 40-something-year-old man who's basically giving everything and anything for society, for women, and believing that you would get ahead, and now you're just like, I'm done with this, everything changes. You don't have the energy anymore. You mentally you're done. You're like, yeah, I'm exhausted. I don't. There's no incentive. And the thing is, for most men, once you hit a certain age, if you don't have a family, or children, if you don't have a wife or kids, if you have no family, then that's pretty much it for society. Because a man who does not have a family will not fight for anything other than his peace. The only thing that a man who has no family will fight for is his peace, and that's it. And because men don't need a lot to survive, most men will just become minimalist. In my own life right now, and that's what really inspired this video. I honestly, I'm tired. And I know a lot of you guys are kind of pissed off because you're noticing that I'm not making as many videos as I used to. Part of that is because I've been extremely sick. I thought I was going to get a lot better. I've gotten somewhat better, but I'm still having periods where I'm just very ill. And then also I'm burnt out. I've been doing this for years, and I kind of look at it like, what's the point? I do have some savings, I have investments, I have debt, and I look at it like, I just kind of feel like getting rid of all of that debt. I feel like just cashing out most of my investments, getting rid of all of that debt, and then basically becoming a minimalist and chilling. And now some of you are like, yeah, Angry, go and do what you have to do, and we'll see you when you're ready. But we already have a lot of you complaining that I'm not releasing enough content myself, because I have Andy, I have Mogbo dropping content, I have other people I'm working on. And the truth is that you don't understand, like, when a man basically walks away from society, that's what he walks away. If I walk away, like, guys, you don't understand. Many of you start to crash out when I'm not putting out regular content myself. What do you think? And I'm just a nobody YouTuber. What do you think it looks like when men who actually are important to society, really important to society, blue collar guys in infrastructure, guys who really are necessary, just basically give up? You don't get it. If men are not creating wealth in society, then everything begins to stagnate, because the only way that wealth grows is if money circulates. For money to grow, it has to circulate. It has to travel. If it doesn't, then it starts to stagnate, and it begins to erode if it sits there as a result of inflation. So they don't want a bunch of men sitting around not doing anything and only working just enough to survive and thrive and no more, because thriving for a man is very different from thriving for a woman. For me, thriving is basically, guys, if I pay off all my debts, if I clear off all of my debts, if I were just cash out investments, clear off my debts, right? Forget about worrying even about the future. And, hey, Angry, you'll have a couple $1 million in you work hard, keep working hard, you'll have some $1 million. Yeah. Or I can just cash out my investments, clear off my debt. I'll still have some nice savings. I'll still have a pretty decent income coming in, but I just won't work as hard, or I barely will work at all. And that's how it is for a lot of men. A lot of you don't really understand. If I were to go down this path, and I kind of feel like it, part of me wishes I had done it when the markets were still stronger. I could have just crashed out and walked away with money in the bank and money still coming in. I have multiple sources of passive income, and I just wouldn't work. And a lot of you would get pissed off. A lot of you are pissed off that I'm not working enough, but I'm just trying to illustrate this to you, that this is what happens. Imagine that on a massive scale, because that's what we're seeing right now as more men choose to go down that path and choose to basically say, I'm not going to do much, especially guys who have investments like in things like crypto, and they're able to make passive income, or they're able to make a living just day trading crypto. That's another big factor to consider. Hey guys, in a world pushing you to own nothing and be happy, crypto is your key to survival. Join Angry's Crypto Academy to master buying, selling, and trading crypto. Make huge profits and safeguard your wealth. Plus, discover the one crypto virtually no one is talking about, poised to create new millionaires in the upcoming bull run. The link is in the description of the video below. Go check it out now.
Baby, if you don't get a job, we gonna be fucking homeless because I don't make enough to pay the bills by myself. And I'm in the studio every day grinding. Man, can you blow up before Friday then? Because we gonna be on the fucking street. And I thought you said you had a job interview. Yeah, I had that interview with UPS, but I just couldn't do it because I realized the 9 to 5 ain't for me. If we don't get some fucking money, you ain't gonna have nowhere to rap, bitch. Well, can't you just call your mama and get the money from her like you always do? We've been calling my people every month for the last 5 months. Get a fucking job. And a 9 to 5 just ain't for me. Well, don't get a fucking 9 to 5 then. Get a 10 to 6 or 8 to 4. Trap, bitch. Do something. Why we can't just go 50-50 on the bills? How the fuck we gonna go half if you ain't got no fucking money?
There is no reward for hardworking people anymore. My husband, who has zero social media, actually thinks it's the devil, has come to me and is like, okay, let's make some TikToks. His entire working life has been physical labor. And he is so over it. Finally coming to a place where we are all at, which is, I don't want to work anymore. But it's not the same way that like the boomers are all saying like, oh, millennials just don't want to work. We're lazy. My husband is a hard worker, okay? He has done every single type of physical labor job you could ever think of. He has done it. He has literally tore his body apart. He has to have surgeries like every year because he is physically harming himself with these jobs. And he just can't do it anymore because he cannot get ahead. He's like, what's the point? What is the point? I started my construction business. I've worked my way up. Now I build houses, but it's like, oh, the government's like, you need to pay this fee. Oh, you need to pay $15,000 for work comp. Oh, you need to pay this fee, whatever. It's like, if he makes this much money, the government's like, well, actually, we need this much from you to make that much money. Fuck it. What is the point? And that is the reason why millennials don't want to work anymore, is because there's no point. You cannot get ahead. We're not going to make couples TikToks. Like, there's obviously a lot more that goes into it. There's strategizing to have something that people want to watch from you. We're just your normal couple. Like, honestly, the only thing I could think we could talk about is the fact that like him and I are so different. I am on this and he has zero social media. He has anxiety. He has a lot of things going on that I don't have. And so we could talk about like how we make it work. Because let me tell you, it was not easy. I just think it's kind of fucking scary if my husband is getting to the point to where he's like, I can't do this anymore. Maybe we should do social media. Hell has frozen over.
And you know, guys, it's interesting how she says hell has frozen over, because now you have articles like the one on the screen from the New York Times where you have a woman, this is written by a woman, who now says, men, where have you gone? Please come back. So many men have retreated from intimacy, hiding behind firewalls, filters, and curated personas, dabbling and scrolling. We miss you. And what's insane about the entire thing is that this article just dropped on social media, dropped on the internet, like I believe it was on June 19th or June 20th. So just a few days ago at the time of making this video. And people were freaking out. They were literally like, how dare you? How dare women put out an article like this saying that men need to come back, men helped, oh, you helped create society, so you need to come back and play an active role. We're not going to chase you, but we are inviting you back. And it's unbelievable. They talk about going out to restaurants and they see all of these women at these restaurants now sitting by themselves, eating by themselves, confident, beautiful, brave, basically stroking their own egos, but there are no men. Where have all the men gone? Men have basically disappeared from society. Men are not even, and they, she points out in the article that men are not even turning towards HATE. Instead, they are turning inward and becoming indifferent towards women. They're not even holding malice towards women. They've just stopped caring. And of course, as a result, they are panicking. Guys, as you look at the things that are happening around the world right now, a lot of the turmoil that's occurring, this is very much consistent with the fall of the Roman Empire. I've talked about it plenty of times. Now, there were actually two sides of the Roman Empire. There was the Western Roman Empire and the Eastern Roman Empire. When the Western Roman Empire fell, the Eastern Roman Empire actually survived. And it survived for 1,000 years, which is crazy. They actually had lots of the same technology, medicine, knowledge that the Western Roman Empire had, although they did lose quite a bit of the engineering. Granted, they still kept a lot of it regardless. The point I'm making is that the fall of the Roman Empire was caused primarily because of as women gained more and more rights in the empire, no fault divorces and all of these things. Eventually, men were basically pushed out of society and expected to carry society as women. Women had more and more of rights and freedoms, and eventually men basically left, and men were punished for leaving society. They were no longer allowed to go to the Colosseum. They were no longer allowed to go to public events. They were punished. They were called worse than all of the criminals in the Roman Empire by the emperor. And they were even forced to like run in the street chain gang style. Single men were forced to run in the street chain gang style during the winter time, and they still would not marry. Within about 100 years of this, the empire no longer had anyone protecting it. There was no money being created in the empire. It was operating entirely off SLAVE labor. And then the barbarians came, basically aliens from another region. They realized the emperor had no clothes. They pillaged the empire. We were plunged into 1,000 years of darkness. Most of Europe was plunged into 1,000 years of darkness, where the Catholic Church then ruled over humanity for 1,000 years before math and science were reintroduced to the general population. They were never fully lost. More so, they were kept by the church and used to keep the people and used to keep to rule over the people. So, for example, most people could not read or write, and they remained ignorant, while the Catholic Church trained and taught the people they chose to, using the preserved knowledge within their archives. And that's what essentially happened. On the other hand, that was the Western Roman Empire. That was the western part of the Roman Empire that fell, which was most of Europe, but there was an eastern part, which I was not aware of. That part actually did survive. And when you do research, I did the research, it turns out that in this part of the Roman Empire, the women in the Eastern Empire did not get the same rights as men. They basically, while there were some rights that women had, they could own property, it was nowhere near on the same level as the Western Empire. Women were basically had to have family members oversee everything and anything in their life. It was extreme traditionalism, and they were able to survive for 1,000 years and emerge from the Dark Ages. This is the truth. So basically, where we're heading right now is women. It's mouse utopia stuff, where women have put men in a situation where they no longer want to operate in society, and men are basically like, "Cool, miss me with that. I'm done. I'm leaving." And women are only going to try to resort to the only thing that they know, which is shame, insults, and guilt. Sign language. It's shame, insults, guilt, gaslighting, because they need to be right. But this time, there's really no coming back. There's no forcing men back. A man will never work harder than you can make him work himself. If you have an SLAVE, or you have indentured servants or prisoners, and you tell them to work, they're only going to do just enough to make the master happy and no more. They're not going to push their back. They're going to break their backs. They're not going to work harder. They're going to work 16-hour days. If you tell them to work 16 hours, they're going to work 16 hours. If you tell them to get a certain amount of work done, they're going to get that specific amount of work done. They have no incentive to work any harder than you tell them to work, because they are not invested in you. All right? They have nothing. They're only working to survive, and they're only working to survive, and that's it. And there's no meaning in it, because they're not invested in it. There's no partnership. There's nothing. And women don't comprehend this. Men are no longer invested in society. They were chased out of society, and everything has been taken away from them. You look at the realities right now where things are not going well, and now feminists are like, okay, back to the kitchen. It's like, bro, the kitchen is not your kitchen, bro. Like, there's no kitchen for you. It's back to the boardroom. It's back to the office. It's back to the call center. That's if you can even find a job. But there's no kitchen for you waiting, where you're going to be a housewife, and men are going to go out there and toil and labor, and you're going to be and go and protect, overseas while you have a good time. It's just not going to happen. So this is the reality of it. And like I said, for me personally, I really am at the point where I just don't want to be bothered anymore. And I don't know. It's like it's tempting to just completely crash out. Like it's like I know you guys are like you're like you give Gen Z a lot of crap, and I know I do. But I mean, I've put in the hard work. I have 2 postgraduate degrees. You know, I worked on a PhD. I've done multiple. Actually, I'm tired, and it's like there's this notion. Well, you just have to keep on trying, guys. There's very few there are very few baby boomers have worked as hard and have failed as much as Gen Xers or older millennials. They don't have any insight into how hard we have worked, nor do they have empathy. This is the reason why in countries like Japan, they're raising taxes on single people, and they're trying to act like, oh, it's so that we can help address the growing birth rate issue. No, that's not going to address the birth rate issue. They're doing it because the old people don't have enough money. There's not enough money to pay the entitlements for the old people, so they're going to further increase the taxes, which are already like at 55% on younger people, while demanding they work even more hours. At that point, it just makes more sense to crash out and just be done with that. Like for me, I look at it like this. I can basically afford to keep a roof over my head, buy food, and pretty much keep a roof over my head, buy food, buy whatever video games I want, and live a relatively comfortable and easy life if I just walk away. If I were to just cash out a lot of my investments, most of my investments, right? Tap into my savings a bit and, do a little bit extra work, within a few months, I can just completely eliminate all debt, right? And do nothing, And when I say do nothing, I mean next to nothing. And I have multiple sources of income, so I would just basically generate just enough passive income, working next to nothing, working very little, and there'd be really very little content for you. I wouldn't be doing much, and you have to understand that I'm just giving you this example because many other YouTubers can go down this path. In fact, many YouTubers are going down this path where they are minimalizing and they're leaving YouTube to go and do nothing. And it's not just YouTube, it's every industry with all men right now. And it's like, people don't understand, if men are not invested, for example, if this is not our country and we basically feel like prisoners with privileges, right? Like we're not free, we're prisoners with privileges in a society that does not like us and can barely tolerate us. In fact, it can't tolerate us anymore, but it's demanding things from us, telling us it's our obligation. Can you imagine having an SLAVE and telling them that they're lucky to be an SLAVE, but you're not really an SLAVE? You're the privileged one. So you have these people who are living in luxury, living the high life off your hard work, as they gaslight you, punish you, destroy you, demoralize you, and then tell you that you need to get back to work. And they try to use shame, insults, guilt, gaslighting to control you because they need to be right. There's really nothing. There's nothing left. And here's the thing. AI can't do all of this because, like I said, the way that money works is it has to circulate. If companies do not have consumers, it doesn't matter how much AI can replace jobs. If there's no one to buy your products, and there's no one, and human beings are not creating wealth, there's no more wealth. And if the value of the dollar continues to decline rapidly, then money stagnates. So all of these companies that have all of this money, they basically put them in banks. All right. And they need to loan the money out, because if they don't loan the money out, the money stagnates. And every year that money sits there, not even year, every quarter, every month that money sits there, the value of that money goes down and is affected significantly by inflation. It's a dirty little secret. They can't afford for people not to spend money. They can't afford for people to not borrow money. They cannot afford for their money. All of these giant companies like Apple, Google, Microsoft, they can't afford to keep large amounts of cash on hand indefinitely, because the value of that money continues to stagnate continues to decrease in value as a result of inflation if it stagnates. So it's a dirty little secret. So women basically are pissed off because they're like, oh, when men are like, oh, if you're a doctor, if you're a lawyer, if you have your own money, then you don't need me. And they're like, that is so evil. What they're revealing is that they can't survive without us. They need us, even female doctors, lawyers, every single one of these women, millionaires, they need us to subsidize them. They need men to subsidize them, or else they cannot survive. The state does not provide enough subsidiaries. All right. The thing is, if a woman is not reallocating wealth and resources from men to the state, then she is not rewarded by the state. Okay. She will still have privileges that men do not have, but her value to the state diminishes. Thereby, her rewards from the state diminishes. If she is not providing value to the state by reallocating wealth and resources from men to the state, because women operate as agents of the state, then the state does not reward them because they become useless to the state. And women are basically panicking right now because men are essentially done with the nonsense, done with the games, done with the gaslighting, and they just want to walk away and live a peaceful life. And like I said, for me, I'm just tired. I am 100% tired, and I just feel like I don't want to be bothered right now. And it's not just me, it's everyone. We all have that fatigue. Like, everyone's just fatigued. The man fatigue, like, men are just fatigued of society. They're fatigued of relationships. They're fatigued when it comes to feminism, right? The way that they're treated by women in society. Most men just want to be separate right now. And it's not like the whole separate but equal. You can have everything. All right? You have your equality, and we'll basically be by ourselves. Okay? There was once a time where women, it was like, and it talked about it in the article, where having a wife was seen like as a status symbol. It's no longer seen as a status symbol. It's now seen as a liability. A man brings his wife around, and other men are like, ugh. Most men do not see a relationship as a status symbol. They see it as a burden. And they see men who are continuing down this path as not only simps, but also liabilities, and they want to have nothing to do with them. Right now, you're looking at the game Ori, gameplay from the game Ori, which is a pretty game. I have over 1,000 Steam games. I have almost 1,200 games on Steam, over 400 games on GOG, and then I also have a bunch of games on other platforms as well. I have a ton of games on Epic. Epic gives away lots of free games. And I have a ton of games on Epic, lots of good games on Epic as well. And I'm never going to play all of these games. Like, at this point, I can get games for free. I have tons. My backlog is giant. I have over 1,000, almost, when you do the math, I have over 1,000 paid games, AAA games, and that number just keeps on going up. But even if I never bought another game, I would have more than enough games to play forever. I have nothing, I have plenty of media, plenty of content, plenty of entertainment. And that's how it is for many of us right now. I have tons of high-end electronics. I've got my gaming laptop. I've got my MacBook Pro. I've got several smartphones. I'm just kind of like pointing this out. I've got a Steam Deck. I've got a Nintendo Switch OLED. I don't really play. I despise Nintendo. I'm not really playing them anymore. Although I could always mod it. And if I mod it, then pretty much every game becomes free. I've started doing emulation. I don't even play my emulated games. Because I can play Nintendo Switch games legally from ROM backups, but I don't need to, because it's like, why even bother? There are some women right now that I think are finally starting to come to terms with the fact that men are not trying to get even with them for feminism. Men have just given up and want to be left alone. They're tired. There's no HATE. There's no ill will. They're not happy with it. They just are tired of relationships, of dating, of having to even interact with these individuals who don't like them, and they just want to be left alone. There's nothing to gain. When you look at people like Bonnie Blue and what they're doing in society, that leaves a lot of men saying, wow, you know what? I would rather find Jesus and spend my time with God, because even the notion of physical intimacy has become something that is now undesirable for a lot of men. It's just like, wow, this is really not. This is just kind of gross, and it's like it's just heading further and further in that direction. What happens from this point going forward? Most men don't actually care. Most men just want to be left alone. They don't care they don't really even care what happens in the world, as a lot of men are just tuning things out. As long as it does not personally affect them, and they can basically, let everything go to hell. They don't, without it directly affecting them. They don't care. It's kind of like, let women and the state fight. Go and deal with everything that's happening in the world. This is their society. Let them deal with it. Because men are basically, like I said, prisoners of the state. Women operate as agents of the state. Simps operate as agents of the state, while the average man, the average heterosexual man, is now a prisoner of the state. A prisoner with privileges. All right? And you might say that's BS. They'll say that's BS. People in prison are prisoners. They can't go anywhere. Guys, we're simply prisoners that are allowed to travel. We're not free. Try to get rid of your American citizenship, and you have to pay lots of money. You have to basically pay like $3,000 just for the right to get rid of your U.S. citizenship. $3K just for the right to possibly get rid of it. And you have to ensure that you do not owe the government any money, no taxes, anything like that. This is the America, to my understanding, is the only country in the world where you have to pay significant amounts of money to get rid of your American citizenship. And if you owe the state any taxes or any type of money, you will not be able to get rid of your American citizenship. If you owe student loans, nope, you can't get rid of your American citizenship. If you owe the state anything at all, you will not. You owe back taxes. You cannot get. You have to pay. You have to pay everything off. Ensure that everything is clear, just for the and then pay. I believe it's $3,000 just to apply for the right to get rid of your American citizenship, and hope that it's granted. Only country in the world. If that doesn't tell, and no matter where you go in the world, you are still responsible for paying taxes to the United States. There are certain tax breaks that you can apply for that allow you to avoid double taxation, to my understanding, because I did live overseas for a number of years, and I was able to work within those parameters. But I believe it's only up to a certain amount of income. After it's above a certain amount, I think like they're coming for you. So it's very, very hard. The good thing is, like, as a man, like, once you learn how the tax system works, you can make the tax system work for you. You can learn how to minimize your expense. You can learn how to minimize your tax liability, and it can allow you to actually live a pretty reasonable life, reasonably higher tiered life by going down this path. I mean, I look at MK Fitness. This is a guy who left the United States with, maybe a couple $1,000s. I don't know how much he left with. It wasn't a lot of money, to my understanding. And he went to the Philippines. He had met a Filipino online previously, went to the Philippines. He's in a relationship with his Filipina, and from the Philippines, he started teaching English, got a job teaching English, and now he makes his money teaching English to Chinese kids. This is crazy. And he's living the best life you can imagine. And I've seen like pictures he's posted online of his Filipina in like lingerie and all kinds of crap. And it's basically the life. He's chilling in the Philippines, living well, eating well, sleeping well. Last I spoke to him, we had a really good conversation. I think he had he had been working on getting rid of like certain vices that he didn't like in his life, and it's like a positive experience. And it kind of just illustrates how much men can prosper just walking away. Now, most men are not even going to go overseas. Passport bros will forever remain a niche because you actually have to have money to leave. You have to have money. You have to have bravery. You have to have tenacity. You have to have desire. Most men are like, I'm not leaving. I'm just going to stay. I'm just going to find a rock and live under the rock. And between women and society, they don't comprehend just how little men will actually need to survive. And men are just not going to fight for anything. Men are just going to watch as everything crumbles. And a lot of guys, the biggest thing is that it's not, women will call it spite, but the reality is that it's just indifference. Men just don't care anymore. They could care, like they've stopped caring. Like the MGTOWs, they need to say that you should not HATE women, because there's something, what you should do is become indifferent. Because when you're indifferent to something, you don't care if it's here or not there. You don't care what happens to it. And that's what's happening with society and relationships, where men no longer care about having relationships with women in society, and they no longer care about society as a whole either. They are mostly indifferent to it. And there's really no easy solvable answer to it, as more and more men leave. And it's actually over 40 million men now that have left society, have stopped working. It went, first they said 7 million. First they said 3 million, then they said 5 million, then they said 7 million, then they said 10 million, then they said 20 million, then they said 30 million, then they said 35 million. So it's likely, guys, it just keeps on going higher and higher. How many men are actually not working right now? And when you include men who are just like not working, like when you include men that are only working part-time, like, are underemployed, what are the real numbers when it comes to men? Because it's getting very, I suspect that we're heading closer to 50 million when you include men who are underemployed. I don't know, guys. It's a crazy situation, and men are rapidly disappearing from society. And society is to blame. Women have a major role in what's occurred here, and men are not going to be going back to this. Men are done with this. Men are done with a society that does not like them. For me personally, I'm tired. I am tired. Magbo, he basically encouraged me to make a video and talk about what's happening with me. And yeah, I mean, I'm still feeling pretty sick. I've gotten a little better, but I'm still ill, and I'm also burnt out. Even without the illness, I'm burnt out. I'm tired of this crap. And it's like I just don't want to be bothered. I don't want to. I know you guys are like, it's like you just don't want to go to work. Like, I'm just being honest with you guys. I don't want to go to work. I don't want to go to work. This is an actual job. This is a business. Like, many of you guys watch YouTube videos, and you don't understand. This is a business. This is a massive business. Like, for me, for all of us, it's a business. All of us are running a business. We all have to, guys. Do you understand, like, everything, even the software, like the software I'm recording this video for you, I use Filmore. This is licensed software. I have to pay an annual subscription for this. I have to pay a subscription for when I stream my videos, when I'm on Rumble. I have to pay for, what do you call that? StreamYard. We're all paying for StreamYard. How much does StreamYard cost? Guys, this is that's like $500 a year. It's like between like $400 and $500 a year for most people for StreamYard. $400 to $500 a year. All right? And that's just one piece of software. Canva, where I use Canva to make my thumbnails. Okay? I have to pay for that every single month. Tiny URLs, like, for example, those little short URLs, that's $15 a month. I pay $15 a month roughly to tiny URLs just to shorten the URLs that I use in the videos. Do you guys comprehend that? That's $180 a year. I mean, there's also guys, it's everything. I mean, think about this. I have people working in my business now, creating content. Those are all, every single person is paid. I'm not going to tell you how much money they're making. They're making pretty good money. Especially in this crazy economy. They're making pretty damn good money. I mean, I don't know what you guys think this is. So it's like, and that's the crazy thing. I'm a business owner, and I'm actually creating jobs and stimulating the economy. And I'm tired. I am so tired. Like, it's like you just want to share. Like, look at that dude who was celebrating earlier in the video. Like, yeah, like, yes. I finally quit my job and I'm gonna go sell vintage handbags with my wife. Vintage handbags, y'all. And he was like, I'm finally free. No more of this. Live below means. No more of this miserable economy. Let the boomers figure it out for themselves, all right? They think they're gonna go like, take advantage of Gen Z. Gen Z crashed out long ago, bro. They crashed out long ago. Like, it's pretty much over at this point, and they think they're gonna get their SLAVs back one way or another, but I'm just not so sure about that.
Now, let's be honest. Every single time I make a video like this, there are people in the peanut gallery who say, it's time to start your own business. Just leave the workforce and do your own thing. But social media has sold us a fantasy. Now everybody is a founder. We're into drop shipping, we're into day trading, we're into reselling, we're into coaching, we're into starting YouTube channels. And hey, I'm an entrepreneur myself, so I totally get it. But statistically speaking, most small businesses fail within the first 5 years. And listen, I speak with direct experience. It's tough. It's isolating. And a lot of people simply aren't built for the grind that comes with running a real business. The fantasy doesn't always match the reality of it. And when you factor in the long hours, the tax burdens, the high cost of insurance, if you haven't shopped for health insurance on your own, you'll be in for a real surprise. The idea of running your own business does lose its luster relatively quickly.
Guys, I've been an entrepreneur for over 10 years now. I've been running my own business for over 10 years now. It took me all of that time to learn the tax system, to learn how to start a business, to learn how to hire employees and how all of this stuff, guys, to develop the skill sets and contacts, and I'm still learning. And you have to think that people who are coming into this, they don't know any of these things. Even when it comes to making YouTube videos, there's a certain structure to it that you have to create, that you have to use when you're creating videos that that you don't learn. You don't know these things until you have to learn them and suffer. And it's just kind of funny. It's just kind of funny because so many people think that it's this easy. It really isn't. It really isn't. So when you're a business owner and you're just at the point where you're like, I just want to just go chill. And this men pay 80% off all taxes while women make 80% off all consumer purchases. As men drop out of the economy and say we're not going to contribute to it anymore, there are no jobs because the backbone of the U.S. economy doesn't come from big business. It comes from small business. Small business is the backbone of the global economy. And men are the backbone of small businesses. So if men basically are no longer active in the workforce, there's no more money. There's no more subsidization of anything. And modern women really don't have anything to offer men at all. And women are like, well, it's your job and it's your duty. And the only way that they know how to get men to comply is using shame, insults, guilt, and gaslighting. Guys, the state, you have to understand, the state is not all powerful. The state is run by people who are dishonest. And they will maintain that dishonesty even as things are crashing and going downhill. They will just double down. And for us as men, all we have to do is just do nothing. Just do the bare minimum, just enough to survive, and that's it. And that's what most men are going to do. But personally, I'm tired. And I know many of you guys are tired too. And I don't know what's going to happen going forward. I'm just being honest with you. It's like I'm exhausted. I don't get to play video games as often as I want to. It's just nonstop work. And it's just I'm just sharing my personal experience where it's just so tempting. It's just so tempting to just cash out. Just call it like don't be greedy. Don't just take the losses, take the L's, and just cash out, and say the boom, say, what, the boomers can go to hell. I don't care anymore. They can call me a loser and be abusive like they've always been. This is who they are. But like most other men, I can just disappear and enjoy a relatively comfortable life, doing literally nothing. I have health insurance. I've got some money in the bank. I've got multiple sources of income, and I can essentially just get by if I choose to, doing almost no work, and just eat, sleep, poop, and relax and have a good time. You know, I don't even drink alcohol. I don't drink beer. I haven't had alcohol in many, many years. Don't smoke. And I'm like, it's like there's a feeling like, I'd like to start drinking. I'd like to start drinking again. I'd like to start smoking again. I want to just start drinking beer and smoking, drinking beer, smoking cigarettes, playing video games all the time, just sleeping some more. And I've put in all the hard work. I've given decades of my life. It's extremely tempting. It's extremely tempting. This whole, just keep working hard so that you can have all of this money for the future. Or I can just enjoy myself right now and, just like not even live below my means. And I'm like, I'm pretty much good. It's like, why even worry? And that's kind of what it is. It's like, I'm at that crossroads right now where it's so tempting to just, crash out. But it's literally like, for me, a crash out looks pretty good. A crash out for me looks really, really good, y'all. Because a crash out for me is literally a life of simple leisure. If I do it right, no bills, no expenses, nothing whatsoever, no children, no wife, no alimony, nothing, no tax liabilities, and just nonstop video games. Every and any video game I want, I can buy. Going forward within reason, pretty much. I mean, any tech device that I want, I can pretty much buy within reason. So anything new that comes out, any toy, I'm just kind of putting it out there. Any smartphone. I mean, I'm comfortable. I don't need to. I'm not a person who likes to buy a lot of these things. Been using my OnePlus for like the last couple of years. And honestly, it's like, for me, it's like buying another one is hard because I have like right now I use a Nord N30 and it has a side mounted fingerprint scanner, and I like the way that it's set up. I'm very comfortable with this. There's notion of needing more. I mean, guys, as I'm recording my video for you, I have a pair of XM4s, and if you guys are into headphones, I have a pair of XM4s. They're sitting next to my Studio Pro headphones. XM4s are high-end headphones from Sony, and then Beat Studios are made by our Apple, and I have a bunch of other high-end. I have some other high-end headphones. I don't even remember the names of them that are tucked away somewhere. It's like, how much more do you really need? I mean, if in front of me I've got like I don't know if it's not a 32-inch, maybe like a 52-inch television sitting in front of me. I don't know, that I don't even use. I don't know, guys. I don't know. Why even bother? Like, it's like, why don't just take an easy one? Like, I mean, it's like you have so much. Why do you even have to keep working? Why not just cash out and you see, guys, people don't understand. Men can just walk away. We can just walk. It's so tempting. It's so tempting, y'all, to just walk away right now. Not just walk. I've already walked away from dating. I've already walked away from relationships. But it's just very tempting to walk away from my job. This is my job, and it's really tempting to walk away from it, y'all, and just go do nothing. Men are rapidly disappearing from society, and it's only going to get worse over time. Women said we'd choose the bear, but now they don't want to go and hang out with Yogi and Boo Boo. And when you consider that roughly 50% of women, almost 50% of women between the ages of 25 and 44 will be childless and single come 2030, and that's not including single mothers. When you factor them in, you're looking at around 70 to 90% of women in just the United States alone being single, not having men to subsidize them. You can basically see that women are heading for very hard times, and their only comeback to it is basically shaming men, gaslighting men, shame, insults, guilt, gaslighting. Guys, I don't really know. I don't know. I don't care. I'm not invested in this society. You realize just how cheap life is for men. Like no one cares about us anyway. So it's like if you don't care about us, we don't really care about anyone else too. Our society, we just kind of want to survive and enjoy what life we have left until, until it's over. But let me know your thoughts, guys. We'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA and walking away. And cheers.